Welcome to The Growth Kit, a podcast where science and actionable advice intersect to help you live a better life. The 4-Hour Body by Tim Ferriss. 3 takeaways. The major fears of modern man could be boiled down to 2 things: too much email and getting fat. Timothy Ferriss. Tim Ferriss skyrocketed to stardom with his first book, The 4-Hour Workweek, escape 9 to 5, live anywhere, and join the new rich back in 2007. From there, he has become respected for his podcast interviews and his work and funding with psychedelics through Johns Hopkins. He rode the 4-hour wave with The 4-Hour Chef and another called 4-Hour Body, an uncommon guide to rapid fat loss, incredible sex, and becoming superhuman. The 4-Hour Body is a 500-plus page book that combines his personal experience with interviews and experiences with the best in the fields of topics, including putting on muscle, sleep, injury prevention, sex, nutrition, and longevity. The book is loaded with pictures, graphs, and diagrams that help illustrate a variety of techniques such as exercises and stretches, and the results of his anecdotal experiments. A lot of what I read back then was fringe science, but it has stood up to the critics, and much of it is now well recognized and practiced. I covered each chapter in notes and highlights worth reading, but I've compressed that down to 3 things I learned from reading this book that still has an impact on me today. 1. The impact of carbs on health. Tim Ferriss created the slow-carb diet, which has 5 rules including avoiding white carbs, except for cauliflower, and limiting fruit to once a week. He explains, just for fun, another reason to avoid the whites, chlorine dioxide, one of the chemicals used to bleach flour, even if later made brown again, a common trick, combines with residual protein in most of these foods to form alloxin. Researchers use alloxin in lab rats to induce diabetes. That's right, it's used to produce diabetes. That is bad news if you eat anything white or enriched. Don't eat white stuff unless you want to get fatter. After lots of self-experimentation using a glucometer to see how carbs impact my strength and endurance-based performance, I found that my body operates best on a low-carb, high-fat ratio. My approach shares principles with the slow-carb diet, including substituting many fruits with vegetables and cutting out most white stuff, which is important to staying low-carb. 2. The minimum effective dose. Before reading this book, I didn't think much about the minimum effective dose of, well, anything. If some is good, more is better. In high school, college, and even before I had kids, I had plenty of time and energy, so why would I care what the minimum was anyway? Then free time turned into we time with the family, and squeezing workouts, sauna sessions, and meditation into a day was more difficult than ever. Ferriss describes the minimum effective dose as the smallest dose that will produce the desired effect or outcome. He uses the example of boiling water to illustrate this. Water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. If you turn the temperature higher, water doesn't boil more. So 212 degrees Fahrenheit is the minimum effective dose to boil water. He gives the minimum effective dose for strengthening a muscle group like the shoulders, which comes down to a specific 80 seconds of tension using 50 pounds once a week. Later in the book, he breaks down a workout routine into push, pull, and leg movements, and states that doing one exercise of each group will get you 80% of the results. He doesn't give the minimum effective dose of various types of exercises like strength training, Zone 2 workouts, and high-intensity interval exercises. So I did the research myself to find these numbers. To find these, go to MindBodyDad.com. Number 3. The power of sleep. Ferriss and I both have a love of self-experimentation for self-improvement, which is one of the reasons I read this book in the first place. At the time it was published, sleep tracking was just beyond a groundbreaking technology. Nowadays, this information is made available through a cheap smartwatch, but most of us don't experiment with what truly makes us sleep better. So he gave us his guinea pigging results. 2 glasses of wine 4 hours before bed decreased deep sleep by up to 50%, but 4 glasses 6 hours before bed didn't have this effect. High-fat and protein meals were better than low-fat and protein meals at improving sleep latency or how long it takes to get to sleep. Take a cold bath an hour before bed. And finally, set an alarm to wake you up in the middle of the night for 5 minutes, then go back to sleep. The results of my own data pointing with sleep are similar to Ferriss's. Alcohol kills the amount of time I'm in deep sleep. Cold showers help a bit, And when I wake up in the middle of the night to pee, deep sleep stages follow, although I've never done this intentionally. Contrary to Ferriss, any food too close to bedtime hurts my sleep, regardless of the macro content. However, carbs actually help me sleep compared to a higher fat content, so I save most of my daily carbs for dinner, about 2 to 3 hours before bed. Thanks for tuning into the Growth Kit podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review. You can check out my website at MindBodyDad.com and subscribe for more weekly insights sent to your inbox. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MindBodyDad.